Hello and welcome to Burgundy Banter, a brand new Rapids exclusive podcast here on Box State Footy. My name's Juan.
I'm Jared.
I'm Jim.
I'm B-Ray.
And we're here, a Rapids panel. I was initially going to call it the PIDS panel podcast, but then that would be the triple P. And so I think I settled on Burgundy Banter as a much...
Well, did that get shut down in government spending? Was that axed by Doge?
Yes, it was axed by all branches of the government, actually. But we're here now with Burgundy Banter. This is exclusively Rapids podcast. The Box State Footy podcast will still serve as a general overview of all Colorado soccer content. But now you know when we talk about Burgundy Banter that this is exclusively Rapids podcast. And what better way to start than with the kit? The Rapids announced the Headwaters kit. Is that what it's called, or is it Headwater kit?
Headwaters with an S.
Headwaters kit. We got some opinions on it, some good, some bad, and overall, I think this is a very mixed jersey. I haven't seen many people kind of come to one conclusive decision. It feels like everybody's taste on this kind of varies. I'm gonna start with B-Ray. John, what are you thinking about the kit, man? Because I know you have some fondness for it. So tell us what you like about it.
Looking at it right now, comes through good. I'm a little cautious about how it's going to show up on TV, but in person, looks great. Love the water imprint. It's a water kit, so can't be disappointed with that. And the alt crest, that is the key piece there. The C with the soccer ball in there, that's the chef's kiss.
How are you guys feeling about it, Jared?
Yeah, we talked about the leak a little bit, which I would say the leak was exactly what we expected it to be. It was pretty much the final product, but not quite. And I think all the areas of the not quite moved more towards me liking it rather than not liking it. C38 talk for a moment. One specific portion, there are crossed oars on the kit, which is a C38 symbol that has been more and more adopted by the team of late. But there are numbers across that are 1996, which is, of course, the year that the MLS started and the Rapids began as a club. But that is not the year that Centennial 38 got together. So just a little interesting tidbit, piece of Rapids lore there that I spotted.
How are you feeling about it, Jim? You actually went and purchased one, correct?
Correct. I blew money on one. Not purchased, blew money. Yeah, it's an interesting color, right? That's the ultimate first glance at it. It's kind of a lightish green gray. The whole secondary crest action going on with the oars, and then you also have the secondary C. I like that, just maybe not on this color scheme. I think they could have saved it for maybe something a little more club themed color wise. But yeah, overall, it's going to be interesting to see how it looks in person on the field on TV. My curiosity comes if it's a rainy game or something. Does something stand out on the kit with water? That would be cool, right? You notice that there's a little Colorado Rapids, the old Microsoft Word font from the old kits back in the day, is kind of hidden in the water design. So I'm interested to see if maybe if that gets wet, if that changes. But yeah, overall, it's an okay kit. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not going to really wear it too much, I think, but it's an okay kit.
I am not a fan of the badge change. I do like it on the shorts though, and it's rough because shorts I think have a lot more practical use than a kit at times. But it's I don't want to get both the kit and the shorts, right? But I really like the C on the short.
Kit wanker.
Exactly. I really like the C on the shorts. I just don't like it as a badge. I don't know if you guys saw the DC United crest, but they kind of infused some colors into that one, and I like kind of that take. I like badge variations like that, where you kind of manipulate the logo a bit instead of going with something completely new.
They went anti-simplicity, and I feel like we went away from our normal, but went ultra simplicity. Those little changes, it's interesting to see how teams are adjusting to the fact that you have to play within a very strict Adidas approved profile. So I think that there is a ton of kit variation across the league. For me personally, how I feel about the Rapids kit will depend largely on how we play in it. So if we do nothing but win all season, I think I'll look back with a warmer affinity.
Right. I think we were kind of scratching our heads for moments in the New Day kit, and that one, the Salt Lake win, that was kind of the big highlight of this one. I'm hoping for big things on that one. When it comes
New Day kit in the League's Cup also was noted as being memorable in a couple of penalty shootouts.
For sure. When it comes to the I wish I had a bit more of a research of this. When it comes to the community aspect of the kit, the part of it is going to the Colorado Water Trust, I believe. Now, I did see someone mention it in some forums that it's kind of funny for the Headwaters kit to be kind of this mainstay, despite the fact that Commerce City itself still doesn't have any clean water. There's only so much you can do. How are you guys feeling about the message overall? Like, is this? I like this way more than whatever Salt Lake came out with Grid City, but.
Well, I have a pamphlet here from the Colorado Water Trust that I grabbed because I wanted to read it and find out what this was. Apparently, it's water conservation.
Right.
So here it says when rivers dry up. Okay, that doesn't actually say anything. That just yeah. So it's
We're
just
putting
a bunch of,
low flow toilets in the dick.
yeah. It's a
We're
bunch of
putting
rubbish on
low
this
flow
pamphlet,
toilets in the dick.
but essentially they conduct outreach throughout the state of Colorado on water rights solutions. Then water rights owners contact their team to inquire about possibilities. I'm not sure. Yeah, so it's just like water conservation is kind of what it looks like. They try to do different things with infrastructure. I could be totally wrong. This pamphlet just kind of has a bunch of like our vision, our
Here's a
tools.
question for the group, but especially anybody that was at the launch events and so forth. Did you hear a figure behind how much the Rapids were committing? Because I did at
too.
one point see a figure. What did you hear?
Well, I didn't hear it at the event, but reading the press release, they're only going to donate $15,000, which seems kind of low.
15K. Yeah, that's what I saw as well. You could probably, what would you equate that to? Maybe the
Used
beer
Toyota
sales. Corolla. Yeah, used Toyota Corolla, heavily used. But I would say that's probably what Dick's Bar takes in over the course of one game on beer sales. So, as we want to talk about messaging, and oh boy, Juan pointed to a great issue that there is a dispute between the Rapids, and the Rapids land ownership and the city of Commerce City's water, and the fact that it is a $15,000 commitment, which is that's a pretty low price to pay for trying to buy good publicity.
I'm all
Not to be a downer.
I'm all for the message. I also think there's so many. I mean, we were talking about it before the podcast started. There's so many limitations when it comes to just operating within the Rapids sphere. Because at the end of the day, it's not the Rapids front office ain't gonna get clean water for Commerce City, right? But it's that by extension that kind of by extension of Kroenke being in this land dispute, it kind of puts a damper on the Rapids here. But
we're not putting it on Armis, all right? I'm not even putting it on Porig this time, which I blame him for everything. So this goes higher and into other parts of the organization for sure.
One thing we can blame Poor Egg and Armis and the sporting staff for is CONCACAF Champions Cup. It is this Tuesday, essentially the start of the season, right? Because it's the first competitive game Rapids are having, playing against LAFC at home. How are we feeling? Let's start with Jim, and then we'll go to Bray.
Well, it's going to be freezing cold from what I understand, and it's Tuesday, 8 o'clock. So it's a little rough on the times. I'm gonna go, but I'm not like super fired up about this. I was telling B-Ray earlier, the draw of our opponents is what really downed me going into this tournament. I really wanted like a cool team that's not an MLS side, and unfortunately, I have an MLS side, and if we go through, it's another MLS side. So to me, it's it's going to be good to go back and just enjoy the game and see some people that I know, but that's really it. I'm not excited for this, guys. I'm not.
B-Ray. B-Ray there?
Yes, so it's going to be a cold night. It's going to be like 10 degrees on kickoff. I'm feeling good about this game. It's the return leg that I get concerned about because we don't play well in LA, but I expect a good positive result. If we can come out of this game and not give up any away goals and set ourselves up on the away leg, we may be able to move on in the tournament. So definitely excited for it.
What about you, Jared?
Yeah, you mentioned being excited to get back out of the park, JJ, and see friends. You're going to see only friends. This is going to be a low attended game. This is going to be a tight one. I'm going to be wearing an "I wish it were colder" t-shirt because at this point, when we get these frigid games, you're kind of hoping for records now. It's like we either want the most snow or the coldest recorded temperature. Because when you get that low, it's like, man, you want to. It kind of ties those snow classicos and freeze classicos and games where soccer shouldn't be played in Colorado. It gives those games like a special meaning. I would kill for a 2:00 Saturday afternoon kickoff for a game like this in February. That would be something, wouldn't it? I'm sure that it would. TV may not even be affected at all if it is affected at all positively because it's a weekend between NFL, immediately after NFL. And also kickoff temperature would be 40 degrees warmer, and I'm pretty sure everybody would be just fine with that. But alas, Tuesday night, in the freezing cold, and I believe this game will be similar to U.S. Open Cup games we've seen in the past, where it will only be the East Side Open, and it's outside of normal ticket pricing. It's $15 to get in, and that I don't believe has been included in season tickets. So
Nope.
I assume that there will be dozens of us in attendance that are just wishing we were watching a game like against a further afield opponent rather than one that we see already 3-4 too many times a year.
We'll all be in the Dale's bar by the 30th minute.
I don't know if Dale's bar. I don't. Yeah, I think it will. It should be because it's the only place you can get
It better
warm.
be open.
The only reason where I think it definitely will is because other beer lines tend to freeze on these games. So the beer, like the single one-off beer people in the concourse, those I would not think will be able to serve beer because it'll be so cold.
Slush.
So yeah, it not only is it slush, but you get slush in the lines, and it kills their ability to pour them. So, and then the cans are hard as a rock. So yeah, these type of games are fun. They're more fun when we get some sort of either snow total or lowest ever temperature record. But yeah, dress appropriately, lads. It's no joke.
I can't believe I'm the only one here who's just going to ride my CCL fever into this game, because I am fully behind the Colorado Rapids here in both legs. I'm going to list off some names that LAFC have lost. They've lost Ilie Sanchez. They've lost Jesus Murillo. They've lost Edward Atuesta. They've lost Omar Campos. They've lost Mateus Bogusz. They've lost Christian Oliveira. These guys may as well have turned around and did a Rapids. All right, they sold a lot of great players. Now, Dennis Bouanga's still over there. They do have, some talent in, Abobasi coming in, strong striker there. Tafari, really good center back there. But I think, guys, the Rapids have the makeup to beat LAFC over the course of 2 legs. And I don't think that should be something crazy to say. And if in 2 weeks we're like completely blown away, we can play this back, right? But I'm just excited to see the fellas, man, the Rapids. We have, some new players as well. Can't wait to see Awazium in action, hopefully. Teddy, if he's up to speed, I think that would be a fun time to see him. It wasn't too long that we had another debuting player in Max make his debut goal for the Rapids in CCC. I think we see the same with Teddy. That may just me be.
Did you win more money on that Max goal, or did he?
Well, did he get carded there? That would have to be the ultimate rabbit hole. That's when it all started. But
I think this is the perfect time though to talk about the new season, what we have coming up, for sure.
Well, is anyone else? Let's get score predictions, starting with Jared. What do you think for this Tuesday's game?
Well, things tend to move a little slower in the cold. I'm gonna say 0-0.
0-0. Fuck. Oh, that sucks. That does suck.
But it takes us level into the second leg. So I that's on one hand, we always talk about taking a point, or in this context, it's not taking a point, but it's taking a result off of LA is never easy. So I think, I think if we beat them, we might poke the bear.
John, what about you? What's your prediction?
I agree pretty much with what you said, Juan, there, except on the return leg. I'm a little iffy. All those players left for LA, but they do have Davi Martinez, and I think this is a Davi Martinez year. I think we're going to be saying his name a lot covering the league. I think for this home match for us, we can pull a 2-0 win, and that will give us a good chance to try to move on the return leg. So I'm going 2-0.
Might have to fly to LA if that's the case.
Hey, if we get 2-0, that puts us in a good position.
Amen.
As long as you don't give up a away goal, you have a shot in LA.
Jim.
I'm going to be the ultimate negativity vibe guy today. I'm going to say a 2-0 loss at the old Dick's Sporting Goods Park, and then we're going to go to LA and just get shellacked 5-0, and I'm going to be screaming on Twitter about it. I'm not fond of this matchup. I've seen it all before. Hello, darkness, my old friend, et cetera, et cetera.
What's Vegas think? Juan, what's Vegas think? Is Vegas leaning more B-Ray or more Jim on this?
I haven't looked into it. That'll be a follow-up Twitter post or something. But because I'm of the opinion the Rapids win 1-0. I think that is a very CCL result, a very solid result. It's not a 2-0. It's not as bad as I think 2-0 loss would be rough. But then you kind of start to see the holes in the game. A 0-0, I think, would be miserable. I don't want to see that at all. I'd rather see the Rapids lose and then, come, because 0-0 is still false hope. A draw is, a draw is not particularly. It's a great result, but it's not, this awe-inspiring thing for me. But I think Rapids win. I honestly do think the Rapids, can surprise here over the course of 2 legs, which brings us to our predictions here. We have I drafted up a bunch of predictions here for the fellas. We'll go kind of, I'll pose the question out to everyone, and I'll hear everyone out. If someone's got a different name, we can always put that down there too. More of a panel discussion than a tally. I think we'll do a draft next week, if that's cool with the fellas. And that draft will be the one we score keep and see who really got the best five-a-side on the Rapids. But starting first, we have team MVP. Who will be the most valuable player for the Rapids, and will they get league-wide recognition? Let's start with some names. Who are we floating in as TMVP discussions?
Oh, it's got to be Jordy.
Georgie? Who else?
Rafa Navajo.
Hafa. Okay. Jared, you got one?
Yeah, I've got those two. But I do think that Georgie stands out between the two because if Navajo is scoring in bunches, those goals are being provided by somebody. That somebody typically is Mihalovic, and we know that he will chime in with a number of goals himself. So his I could see a situation where Navajo has a very good season to the point where he even breaks the Rapids single season all-time goal scoring record, but Mihalovic actually provides more goals and gets more national attention.
Okay. I'm gonna go with my the old reliable Cole Bassett.
Amen, brother.
I mean, so long as he plays in that holding midfield position, I think the sky's the limit there. He's just got to be a little bit more of a better defender. And then we won't really need a 6 if it's Cole Bassett. But
did the voters pay attention to Miles' run? Because that's a stat that he's definitely going to be towards the top of if history is any guide.
Yeah, workhorse for sure. So we got Mihalovic, we have Hafa, we have Bassett. Any others for team MVP? Any dark horse picks? All right, that says everything.
I'll throw
there.
in a dark horse. It's the 11th hour. I'm going to throw in Zach Steffen because if he turns it around and if he leads the league in shutouts, and we maybe don't have a very productive offensive season, I think that there's a chance for a redemption arc where he looks fantastic.
Goalkeeper of the year. That'll be his
Not
league-wide
likely.
recognition. Well, that would have to be
not. Yeah, like I agree, but I think I could see a world.
Yeah, because if could there be a world where Zach Steffen is both goalkeeper of the year and we get Georgie Mihalovic or whoever else you put up as MVP? Because it's very rare for the Rapids to have many guys in many categories, as we know.
Yeah, that's why I say I think it would be hard to see both. And in fact, if we see Steffen just in the top third of the league statistically, and we see Mihalovic in any kind of MVP or all-star conversation, the Rapids are doing something pretty damn right. So that would be excellent to see, but also not something that we can be totally convinced of yet without seeing it.
Moving on, this is some advanced stats, some advanced analytics for you. Biggest goals added contributor. Which Rapids player will have the biggest impact on both sides of the ball? I'm going to give you guys the top 5 from last year. Cole Bassett, number 1. Georgie Mihalovic, number 2. Kevin Cabral, number 3. Darren Yappy, number 4. And Connor Ronan, number 5. Yeah, so on both sides of the ball, these are, players that, have looked, good. Stats indicate that they, overall are adding more goals than they're, subtracting. But who would you guys pick to be the stats column guy for the Rapids? Any names?
It's Cole Bassett.
Cole Bassett. Yeah.
He's a workhorse on both sides, and he's in the position to do it.
Any other names we got?
I love that answer. No, I think Cole's a great answer. I think Hafa scoring in bunches would put him in the mix, right? Goal scoring efficiency.
He is sixth. He is sixth.
Yeah, and he they missed a lot of chances too, and we had long bouts of him not scoring, especially immediately post contract last year. So I think that there's an opportunity for him to find goal scoring form that we have not seen even yet from him as a Rapid, even though he has had spurts like the spurt right before we were absolutely required to sign him, sitting on 10 goals at the beginning of last season. If he keeps that up through a whole year, he'd be tough to take out. But I do think Cole obviously offers a lot on both sides of the ball. Hoffa benefits because of the high press, so he actually gets a couple of tackles in as well.
I have one name as the dark horse pick, and if he does have a big impact here, you could expect the Rapids to be cooking. Sam Vines. I think Vines.
I love that.
Vines, if Vines can, be the Vines that he was before he left. If the Rapids do move to a 5-back, if we can get that Sammy Vines wingback role of him just, and if Awazium allows that to happen, that's going to be a cheeky little signing there for Awazium, a little plus for him. But I want Sam Vines to climb the goals added here and be not only a good offensive threat, but a good defensive one as well.
If you're looking at dark horse, I think Awazium would be a good dark horse pick as well. He's going to be the main target on set pieces.
That's
We're going
true.
to get a lot of chances on that, so that would be my dark horse, would be Awazium. But Sam Vines is a good shout, and we hope it's Sam Vines because we need a better Sam Vines.
Absolutely.
And it's been a while since we had the Scottish Salmon being our routine riser and header of the ball. Jack Price to Danny was one hell of a combo for a number of years.
Classic.
Now, if we can get Mihalovic to Awazium, we will have to come up with different nicknames, but I'm sure we'll be able to do it.
Let's move on to leading goal scorer. Who's going to be the main goal threat? Is it going to be Hoffa? Is it going to be somebody else? All signs point to Hoffa, but is anyone going to throw anybody else out there? Georgie also up there, but who are you guys thinking is going to take the leading goal scorer tally here?
Well, it better be Hoffa with that money.
Right.
We put a lot of money in him, so he needs to score those goals. And if he's not, then we might be in trouble offensively.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the two. TKD. I got it right that time, boys. I don't see him going so far above his career averages to be a team leading goal scorer. He's the other kind of exciting attacker. I guarantee Cole chips in a number, but not a double-digit number of actual goals scored, possibly goals provided. So, yeah, it has to be Hoffa or Mihalovic. Mihalovic especially if he's our PK taker. That can make a huge difference, as we saw a lot last year. I think that we were pretty blessed in trips to the spot.
Most blessed, actually. Most penalty kicks in the league last season. About 20% of the goals for the Rapids came from the spot. That's going to be kind of that needs
the Pope of Commerce City was working overtime.
We need to see we definitely need to see that 20% go to a player that can bring it back up. I'm gonna give Cabral the shout, guys. If we ever get to a world where Kevin Cabral scores a hat trick for the Rapids, it's gonna be an insane monumental payout. But
and speaking of insane monumental payouts, if Kevin Cabral is our leading goal scorer this year, this motherfucker's gonna be back on as a DP for another 3 years.
Hey man, I think that's what he needs, right? To justify that DP price tag. I'm hoping for the best here. But yeah, you got, all the DPs, right? Georgie, Cabral, and Navajo. One of those has got to be the leading goal scorer in any kind of order. In any order, really. Most assists. Who's the main creator in this squad moving forward? If it is out of a 3-back, a 3-4-3, I'm thinking we're going to see a lot more combinations in the middle between, Ronan and the attack. I think he can serve a lot more through balls if it's a 3-4-3. Anybody else beyond Ronan that we're thinking?
Mihalovic. Yeah. his vision paired with hopefully a little bit more dangerous attack, I think that we see quite a few assists out of Mihailovic this season. Double digits would be my bare expectation.
10 assists from Mihailovic?
Yes, sir.
More. I'm going 15 plus.
I'm saying 13 assists.
Damn, that's the line, huh? 12 and a half?
That's
11
the
and a
line.
half? I mean, easy over if you're going double digits, but I kind of want to see Mihailovic be a goal threat more than anything. I think he's better as a goal threat.
I don't think those have to be mutually exclusive. I think you can see a 25 goal contribution between 12 goals, 13 assists, or vice versa. Very possible, especially if he gets in the flow, man. When he plays at his best, he is the engine of our attack. And when you take him, when he's not at his best or he's not in the team, we suffer. So I think all good things have to come from that player.
So not to screw up this conversation, but we have a trade, Colorado Rapids trade that
just broke.
Well, the club posted. I don't know how old this is, but the club has acquired $275K in general allocation money from the team in Utah in exchange for a 2025 international roster slot.
And that's the last one, right?
Gam.
The Boreg Smith Gam train.
Well, no, it's
leaving the station.
It's Fran now, bro. It's Fran Scran.
Oh, is it Fran Scran?
Yeah, it's Fran Scran. I mean, that kind of finalizes any chance of us getting a domestic foreign winger. But
we have been collecting Gam over the last couple of weeks, so it could mean that we might be signing someone from within the league. Not necessarily a bad thing. Anytime we potentially strengthen that other team up north, not always exciting.
Well, I guess this makes this question easier. I'll skip to it. It was technically supposed to be the last one, but I mean, it's relevant now. Will the front office actually bring in reinforcements, and will they matter? This is kind of targeted more towards midseason. I don't see how now with the war chest of Gam, as Jim has explained it to me, that the Rapids wouldn't go out and get someone in the summer, right? Do you guys think we get that summer signing? I mean, probably not from afar, right? Probably not foreign, but we got a bunch of Gam. Anyone know what we're going to do?
It really depends on how the
it?
season goes.
Yeah, well,
It really depends on how the season goes, right? Like, if we're going to make a playoff push, then yeah, you would hope that they would try and reinforce it, but if we're last in the league, can they use that Gam for the next season, or?
I think Gam's just dead money, is it not?
Well, it doesn't expire anymore, so
okay.
We don't have to use it. You could build it up, so you don't have to use it. It doesn't expire anymore. I think we're gonna make moves in the summer. I think we're gonna have to. Just even looking at the roster doesn't even have the full 30 players slots full, so we're gonna have to make moves. How impactful that's gonna be, I'm not too sure. But we're going to make something, and Porg usually likes to do international signings in the summer, but if we don't have any slots open, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Anytime you get worried about incomings, just remember we're only 10 months away from next year's draft.
We're going to have 8 incomings.
Oh, and one of them has got to be the next Bombito, for sure, I think. Let's go back to the original list. Breakout player of the year. Which player levels up and cements themselves as a core piece? I'm going Teddy, just because I'm a big fan of his game. I think Teddy Cudipietro is a solid addition, and once he's healthy, I think he can easily break out. Any other names you guys want to throw out there?
Mine's almost like a comeback player of the year, and it's Sam Vines. I want to see him reclaim the left-hand side as his own, and if he does so, I think we'll be in much better shape than having to try to play that position by committee as we saw at the end of last year.
See, and I was going back and forth with Teddy or Calvin Harris. I don't know if Teddy's going to be able to play right away with us. There was some reports that he's recovering from
he's
shoulder.
He's not.
Right. So we're going to have to put somebody in there. And this will go in the next question, but I have Calvin Harris kind of being 50-50 on him. So I'm going to go Harris. I think Harris could break out this year. I think he's going to get opportunities early on, and then Teddy might find it kind of hard to get on the field.
I like Calvin Harris. That's a good shout. You started to see him heating up a little bit last year, and you saw what he's capable of. I could totally see him being a breakout player. Absolutely.
Another player, same position, where I think there'll be a lot of minutes to be had. KSB. We saw some interesting things from KSB. He looked, certainly has speed. Whether or not he has the tact to break down MLS defenses in the box, I think is still to be determined. But going to be some interesting decisions to be made on those wings.
Gonna skip a lot of these because we've been covering a lot of them. Just touching on the players here. I'm gonna go to MLS playoffs. It's clear that that for a lot of Rapids fans, the follow-up years is what gets the most kind of harped on. It goes from making the playoffs one year, having a really good team, to then crashing out of said playoffs, and then a long in between pauses between the playoff contention. I think this is a playoff team. Personally speaking, I think that should be the expectation. I think another home playoff game, even if it is, I think home field advantage needs to be a goal here, even without a defined playoff setup just yet. But the Rapids.
The higher seed actually has to play in Dallas and Cowboys Stadium this year. It's just how it goes.
Did the Rapids book motocross for their for their season or what?
Yeah, Lumineers play that weekend. Sorry, fellas, you're on the road.
How are you guys feeling about this season though? Is playoffs the bar for you? Let's start with Jim.
Yeah, playoffs is the bar. I'm not too confident in saying home playoffs is the bar, because I think the West has gotten a little better, and then you throw in San Diego, so that's another team. But yeah, I don't think that missing the playoffs is acceptable. You can't do it. You can't do it. If I'm not mistaken, Armis is in a contract year ?
Yeah, I think he has. I think this is. They only signed him for a 2-year. Last I remember.
So yeah, we have to make the playoffs, and if we don't, that's a major disappointment. Because we saw what they were capable of last year, and you kind of refer to the 1 step forward, 2 steps back over the years. We can't have that anymore. You can't have it. This has to be the quote unquote perennial playoff team that we're promised. So yeah, playoffs is a must.
How are you feeling about it, B-Ray?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good about this season. The bar and reality are 2 different things. The bar is a playoff win. You gotta move. Reality is, I think we get bounced in the first round, but my bar for a successful season has to be getting out of the first round of the playoffs.
Jared?
So I think that where we finish, we have to be in the playoffs, but where we finish in those rankings, whatever that may look like, what I want to see out of this team this year is to establish themselves as a team other teams don't want to play. Because right now, if you see the Rapids late season and you're full strength, you're thinking that's an all right draw, home or away. We've got guys like Cannon now who has a lot of bite. We've got an attack when firing all cylinders that can score on anybody. If we can get that group healthy and start to establish ourselves as just more of a little bit, we have been an underdog forever. With this group of players, with a guy like Zach Steffen between the posts, with that pedigree, hopefully we can establish a reputation for being a team that you just don't want to fuck with. And, we were not that team at the end of last year. We haven't done a ton to adjust that by changing the roster, but I hope that we can change the attitude, which will change the perception. and be a little bit of a bully at times, which I think will lead to great results. But, getting to the playoffs, a bare minimum, and then ideally, you want to build season on season, but you certainly don't want to just roll over. So we have to get over the hump of just rolling over, and we'll see where that lands.
Finally, let's talk Leagues Cup. We got 3 Liga MX teams on hand. And I was not lucky enough to get one of the biggest dream matchups I've ever seen. But Colorado Rapids take on Santos Laguna at home. They will also be going up against Tijuana at home, and they will be on the road at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, to take on Cruz Azul. I get why Cruz Azul gets a hub, but at that point, just let them freaking play in Mexico. I'm super sad that I don't get to go see Cruz Azul at DSGP, because that would have been a fun time. But I mean, of the draw, how you guys feeling about Leagues Cup competition heading into this season? Let's start with B-Ray.
I feel pretty good. We got a good draw. Santos and Tijuana, I think, are good matchups for us. We'll probably win those games. I could see us win those games. We'll see what happens on the road. I mean, nobody expected us to be Club America last year, but we did. So I hope that we do win that one derby in LA. I don't know if we will, but it should be enough to get us to move on. I know it's kind of weird where it's the top 4 teams based off of points in each league that move on. I don't know. It's going to be a weird format to see how that works. But I think we do well in those 3 games, and then we kind of see where the chips fall, and hopefully it doesn't screw up the rest of our season going too deep in a Leagues Cup run.
What are you thinking, Jared?
I favor Azteca from the region. Harpo's has a good bunch of boys as well. So, I think both of those teams will represent us really well, even though Hailstorm may not be participating, whatever the hell's going on up there. Which tournament were we talking about?
We're talking about Leagues Cup.
Money Cup.
Fuck. Leagues Cup. My bad. Yep, just hope we get out of it healthy once again. And the topic of derailment, that certainly seemed like it was the high point of our season last year, and we want to be peaking in the fall rather than the summer this time. But that's about all I got on Leagues Cup.
What about you, Jim? You got anything to expand
upon?
Well,
sure. If you give me 20 minutes, I would go on a rant about Leagues Cup with F words and screw yous and all that. I could care less. It's just get out of it healthy. I'd much rather be in the U.S. Open Cup. I've said that all the time. Fuck Leagues Cup. Can I curse on this? Yeah.
Yes,
fuck.
You can.
Fuck banter. Leagues Cup. I'm not a fan. I like the ideas of playing Mexican teams, but I like playing them in like Champions League type formats, not a strange, like, we're going to put a Mexican team in LA and then you go there and play them and it's just to sell ticket. It's just, I don't like it. Well, get out of it healthy, boys. Get out of it healthy.
An interesting, benefit from actually reaching 3rd place last year was we got that CCC spot,
We get to play LA in 10-degree weather in February.
Exactly.
Boy, what a trophy.
It's like,
in all sarcasm.
I would be honest with you. I had no idea there was a 3rd place Leagues Cup match.
So I didn't either.
When I found out the Rapids were in it, I was like, oh, this means something. and it did, But, I wish these were the teams we were playing in CONCACAF. You know what I mean? Like, all just goes back to that. And I
don't like it.
I've had this discussion with B-Ray on Blue Sky, but if they switch up the MLS season, they split it up into 2. If they were to switch to the Euro calendar, have an Apertura season, an opening season in August through January, and then open it back up, late February to June, and then you can have the Clausura there. Two MLS champions. I feel like that would that's like my grand plan for how to fix the competition structure in America. But for now, we got Leagues Cup, and then it'll be here until they figure out until the Liga MX teams figure out, hey, we could just scrimmage with Barcelona and Real Madrid and make way more money, which I don't undoubtedly don't wholeheartedly not agree with. But anything else to finish out? Any last season takes before we close out? All right, we'll end.
We're all in great anticipation, right?
Not all at once.
It's a pregnant pause. That's a pregnant pause. A lot to be proven between the white lines. I think there's plenty of reason for criticism around possibly not strengthening more in certain positions. But I also think that there's something to be said about sticking pat with your group. And Armis in a contract year, boys, I have a feeling that we see a contract offer to him early, because I think that he has certainly impressed in his time here, both with the fans and with the front office. So I would anticipate seeing him for a much longer period of time. But yeah, let's see what we have, because playing a game in 10-degree weather is tough. I will personally start my expectations as of February 22nd in St. Louis with the regular season, but it will be very, very interesting to see what the Rapids have and whether it's the same team we saw at the end of last year or if it's the team we saw at the beginning of last year.
Let's start. Jared, where can they find you?
Find me at Jared_Geisler and at Burgundy Social on Twitter.
Where can they find you, Rapids Bray?
You can find me at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in 2 weeks for the home opener.
Where can they find you, Judgemental Jim?
Yeah, Judgemental Jim on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'd like to give a shout out real quick to Guillermo Mai, who scored a goal in the 44th minute for Auckland FC, my other team that has rechristened my love for footy.
Up the Ox.
Up the Ox.
Shout out Guillermo Mai. You can follow me at Juanners715 at Juanners.beastguy.social. Follow Box State Footy at Box State Footy on X. And we will see ya when we see ya. Bye-bye.